sports and events and everything. Right. Well, I hope to also be top notch when it comes to sporting, matters. But then this is where we talk politics and current affairs right here on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. And yes, right here too, we in giving you an audio-visual radio experience that you can count on. We have also put out a television, forum where you can see what's going on in the studio, match the voice with the face, and as well as the ambience in the studio across social media platforms, talking about specifically YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So get on there and see that what I say is the truth. Give us a following, right? Give us a like, give us a following, give us a subscribing, right? Or subscription. Subscribe to our YouTube channel right there at Eagles FM Abuja, and then spread the love across to the other social media platforms where we have a strong presence, and that's talking about the likes of TikTok, Instagram, and X, and all of that. We are there. We are strong right there. But I woke up to the news of deportation of MD Tiamiyu, who was a Nigerian YouTuber. If you remember, he was reportedly deported from the United Kingdom back to Nigeria after he was accused of fraud and arrested. Well, Tiamiyu allegedly defrauded the UK government of £160,000. That's 300 million naira, which was intended for his resettlement after he claimed asylum. Well, instead, he diverted the funds to build a house in Ogun State, where he's from in Nigeria. Well, Tiamiyu came to fame somewhat from a controversial BBC interview where he gained prominence after a BBC interview in which he discussed the motivations of Nigerian students in the UK, suggesting that many exploited the visa system route to work and relocate their families. Well, this news has met Nigerians with many financial misconduct, and his deportation has sparked, quite a wider conversation about these topics. And that also takes us to the place of the issues, the variant issues that's been ongoing in Nigeria. The government ignoring labor's plight between the Nigerian government and organized labor has reached a boiling point, I tell you. I mean, and it's still boiling. Strings them together with the labor unions walking out on the negotiation table a second time over the proposed minimum wage increase from 48,000 naira to 54,000 naira. Well, Nigerians are already reacting. You and I are reacting right there. But of this paltry offense comprising the Nigerian Labour Congress and the TUC, right, the Trade Union Congress, and this stark contrast is between the government's reluctance to meet the demands of the labor unions and the effortless upward review of allowances for National Assembly members and the president has raised eyebrows, and it has sparked some sort of outrage among Nigerians, as even the judiciary is a public affairs commentator, is a publisher, Daybreak Nigeria newspaper. Dr. Austin Maho, welcome to...
Morning, everyone.
Yeah.
Nice to be here.
Right. Well, we already know what's going on. I mean, in terms of matters that concern the government ignoring labor's plight amidst inflation, but
its own wisdom when it proposed is equivalent to about framed by today's exchange rate. It's only saying this is what it will cost. That they have done their own calculation.
Doctor, Doctor, can you hear me?
Of six,
yeah,
made
Doctor.
Up of the father, mother, 4 children.
No, Doctor.
615,000 naira.
Dr. Austin,
month.
Can you hear me?
To survive. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, the line is breaking. Let me Dr. Austin Maho in a matter at hand, and he had already started, to speak on the issue, and he had said that, of course, it is a very necessary step in the right direction, asking that the labor, should ensure that indeed the voices are heard and that the government indeed comes through, in ensuring that it will not just be about the minimum wage anymore, that we go past that level of the minimum wage to the living wage. Doctor, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. So yes, now you're clearer now.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So, as I was saying,
Yes.
Labour
Yes.
is insisting on 615,000 naira per month
Right.
as living wage based on their own calculation.
Right.
That it will cost. When you say cost of an average family made up of 6 persons, father, mother, 4 children, the cost of feeding, cost of transportation, cost of fuel, cost of electricity, cost of shelter, clothes, housing, it will take about, they did a breakdown of that figure and arrived at 615,000 naira per month. So the figure Labour is giving is not from the air. It's based on calculation. It's based on actual cost, the living reality of an average Nigerian family today, based on the exchange rate of the naira to the dollar.
Right.
And come to think of it, 600, it sounds humongous, right? 615,000. But when you look at today's exchange rate, 615,000 naira is just about $400 for an average British family, American family. What is the minimum wage in these countries? In the UK, the minimum wage is about £12 per hour. In the United States, it's about 14, 15 pounds per hour. So you do the arithmetic. Government offering a paltry sum of 48,000, then later upgraded to 54,000 naira per month. It's too minimal. It's too meager. It doesn't. I can ask I drive a car. How much do you think it cost me to fuel my car in a week? If you give me 54,000, it can barely put fuel in my car. One car. Not to talk of, I've not imputed other cost of living, food, electricity. So at the end of the day, what Labour is asking for is what government has brought upon itself. Labour is only saying, government, do what you promised to do.
All right.
Because
the
economic reality in Nigeria today is as a result of government policies.
Okay.
2 government policies we always talk about. One, removal of fuel subsidy. You say you want to save money. You say you want to use that money to improve the lot and living condition of Nigerians.
Right.
You say you floated the naira, or because you want to close the gap between multiple exchange rates. This is the result. The result is what government needs to confront. The result is what government needs to deal with. The result is that an average Nigerian today is living in perpetual penury as a result of government policy. So it behoves on government to look at what it has done and the consequence that had on the Nigerian worker and bring about concrete measures, realistic measures that addresses the problem.
All right, let's just look at the breakdown again. Well, the figure breakdown to arrive at the proposed 615,000 minimum wage by labor is as follows, where basic salary is 291,467 naira, is equivalent to 750 US dollars. Housing allowance 130,000 naira, 20% of basic salary. Transport allowance 90,000 naira, 15% of basic salary. Feeding allowance 75,000 naira, 30,000 naira, 3% of basic salary. Education allowance 15,000 naira, 2% of basic salary, and health allowance 10,000 naira, 2% of basic salary. And that's how they arrived at 615,467 naira. Well, these figures are based on the demands of the Nigerian Labour Congress, and it may also be subject to negotiation, of course, and advance, which is why they're still having this conversation on the round table. Well, it is also important, like as you said, to note that the 615,000 naira minimum wage demand is based on the current economic realities in Nigeria, including the high cost of living, inflation, and the devaluation of the naira. So the labor is arguing that this amount is necessary to ensure a decent standard of living for workers. But that brings us to the question of where Nigerians have been calling out to the government, saying that, look, it's time for us to cut down on the cost of governance. The cost of governance.
Of government, yes.
If we,
a very valid observation.
Good, and that we should cut down on the cost of governance, and that Labour is only towing this line based on the fact that those to the voice or the advice on the cost of governance, but rather than us see the cut down on cost of governance, we're seeing so much increments here and there, especially for the hierarchy, within the structure of a Nigerian space, and that alone has exacerbated, the continuous calls for Nigerians to want to say, this time we will stick our neck with the Labour and ensure that we also, get to earn certain amounts at a minimum, whereby everybody becomes somewhat well paid and living, a living wage as it stands, so it doesn't have to be just on the one side. But do you think that this move is intentional? I mean, the 615,000 naira, away from the fact that we understand that Labour is saying that, hey, it's got to be.
I don't think along those lines. If government, Labour has, like you read out, Labour has given a breakdown, the methodology which they use to arrive at 615,000 naira as minimum wage.
Right.
If government is insisting on 54 or offering 54,000 naira as minimum wage, government should equally give us the methodology they use in arriving at that figure. They should give a leave in 1 month. What does it cost me to pay for electricity? What does it cost me to fuel my car? What does it cost me to fuel my generator? What does it cost me to put food on the table for iftar, for transportation? What does it cost me, on a general note, housing? If I'm living in a
Hello, you there?
So government should tell us how 54,000 can be applied to meet all these costs. That is, if government gives, look, it is okay. But we all know to run with that amount of 54,000, no family, even an individual, a single individual in Nigeria of today, cannot live with that amount of money. And at times, when you talk about cost of governance, cost of governance is a major issue, because government will come and say, no, we don't have money to be able to meet the demand of labor.
Right.
And I think that is a fluke. Why government is telling other Nigerians to tighten their belts? We know that government itself seems to be loosening its own belt. The stomach of government is ballooning. Why you are telling the citizens to tighten their belt? It's not realistic. We all see what is going on. We see every day, for those of us who live in Abuja here, a government official, when they are driving on through the streets of Abuja, how many cars are in their convoy? It doesn't show a government who is ready, to go on cost-cutting measures. We see what is happening in the National Assembly, how they are buying cars and doing unnecessary, allocating unnecessary allowances to themselves. So when you look, and even within the executive itself, you see the outcry from Nigerians recently when government had awarded a contract for 13 trillion for a road that nobody asked for, nobody agitated for. The Lagos Calabar coastal highway, highway. Nobody asked for it, but government has 13 trillion to allocate to. I mean, it's ridiculous.
All right, just before
it's annoying.
Yeah,
I think these are the issues that Labour is putting at the front burner.
Right.
So he who comes to equity, they say, must come with clean hands. And if government has all this amount, all this money at its disposal to spend on what I will consider as frivolity, the workers, Nigerian workers, are deserving of a living wage. We are not talking of a minimum wage, but a living wage. Or else, what will be encouraging is corruption in the system. If you employ an average worker and you are not able to give him enough or just keep him at subsistence level, what can keep him alive. What you have done is to give him the official cover to perpetrate corruption. And that is why corruption has remained endemic in the system. Because somebody earning, let's even assume the 54,000 is implemented, what can he do with it without cutting corners in his official function?
Right.
These are the things we have to look at. And it comes down to the heart of the Nigerian society.
Right.
Are we going to continue like this? Are we going to treat the average Nigerian worker the way government is treating them and expect the best from them? The civil service remains the engine room of government, and if
just before we open the phone lines, there is a need to also look at certain things and bring it to our audiovisual consciousness. Well, you asked the question of how much would it take, to run a family of 6, and by an estimate, considering what's going on in the country right now, what we face in terms of inflation, 33.69%, and all of that. Yeah, in fact, housing should be gulping, that's for a middle class family, housing should be gulping 800 to 1.5, food about 400, transportation about 200,000, 150, healthcare 80,000 to 150k, where medical expenses and health insurance would be taken note of, and clothing and personal care should be around 80,000 to 150,000 naira. Entertainment and miscellaneous should be around 80,000 to 150,000 naira. In fact, if you look at the total for that in a month, it will be about 2.480 or 2,480,000 naira and 4,350,000 naira. So some would say that, well, based on this, looking